All right, a very bright morning from Bororo City. You're most welcome to the KOKOKLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV. Today happens to be the 19th of the month of June, and the year is 2024. We're at 15 minutes after 7 o'clock. It's a great pleasure having you on board this morning, and you're most welcome as we start off your day and the day of on the program also really with you, and that is how we are going to be also really talking very much issues are related to the African child. And recently we did see the world commemorate the continent actually commemorating the African Child Day. And we are going to be talking very much about that because today we have realized that the African child is actually very much vulnerable, and we want to see how best we can be able to protect the African child from their rights violations. And that today have been joined by Duchile Godfrey. He is a child's rights activist and also the executive director of SEFTRA West Nile, and he is also going to be telling us more about this day and what are some of the rights the African child is supposed to be having and how we can be able to solely push that today, because we have realized that also today the rights of the African child has been very much violated, and this is actually as a reason as to why this day also really is honored, and it also really promote the rights of the African child. And today look at the girl child. Many people are seeing them also really being exchanged, that is for dowry, for other reasons here and there, but really that's not supposed to be the case. The girl child and the boy child likewise are supposed to be having their own rights, and that is actually where he is going to be telling us more, and maybe what some of the rights the girl child is supposed to be doing, what about the boy child, and how these rights can be promoted. Nonetheless, you're most welcome to the KOKOKLIRIKO live show. It's a great pleasure having you on board this morning.
Thank you.
Yes, maybe first introduce yourself, the viewer, because it is you that can best introduce yourself, the viewers.
Thank you very much, viewers, and thank you very much, the moderator. And I'm happy to be here. It's not my first time to be here. I think this is also my third time to be here in the Mighty Station, in the Mighty TV.
But for this year, it is your very first time.
Yeah, this year is my very first time to be here.
All right.
My name is Godfrey Duchile, the executive director of SEFTRA West Nile. SEFTRA is a local-based organization. SEFTRA in full is Community Empowerment for Transformation Action West Nile. It's a youth-led organization, an organization that is run by youths, the organization that operates in West Nile, and we are currently now in the districts of Arua City, Arua District, and Terego.
Okay.
Yes.
You have very much been seen pushing the rights of the African child. Maybe what are those rights that you are pushing forward to have also the African child get it back?
Thank you very much. We are all African children, and so of course I was a child. Now of course I'm a grown up, but of course I'm still in that context. But there are a lot of rights that we do push for children. But I think before we come to the rights, that it also be good to establish why these rights came up, or why we have reached this level. Yes.
Yes, and most of the times today in most of the engagements, people have been saying we need not to give much attention to the girl child neglecting the boy child. And this is something most people have often said, that more attention has been given to the girl child neglecting the boy child, and that is why issues of theft among the boy child is more rampant. Drug abuse also really is more amongst the boys than the girl child. What can you say about this?
Thank you very much. Of course, that observation has been true. We, from the historical perspective, in African culture, how we took women, how we perceive women, the place we gave women always been low table. So time came, the women activists, the women themselves said, no, we are equal. We're all human beings by the virtue that we're all human beings. That means we possess all the equal rights. Why should the boy child be treated differently and the woman differently? Those days, women are not even given chances to go to school. Women are all limited to kitchen work only. But then the time came, we realized women can do things better.
Okay.
Then also, time came, people came up with what they call women empowerment. Because this women empowerment was to address the gender inequalities that by that time. Of course, as time went along, we also realized we went overboard. We concentrate much on the women's side. We also forgot the boy child. That's when now the issue of boy child is coming, because we all went with the girl child, we neglected the boy child. So then we are trying to strike. We also going back to drawing board.
Okay. Because
for us to achieve gender equality, there must be need to have a conversation with equal discussion with the boy child. I think that's the issue. Another thing that the world, and also we have realized people went wrong. We're coming back to drawing board. We need to go equal with the boy child.
Yes. So what does this mean, and what does the future hold if at all people continue to neglect what we call the girl child and giving more attention to the girl child alone, neglecting the boy child, giving more attention to the girl child. What will the future be like if at all we do not correct this now?
Yeah, if we don't correct that now, the future seems to be dark. One, because we will continue to experience a lot of abuses. The boy child now who feels is not loved, who feels is isolated, has lost hope. If you move around, we have got boy childs who are sitting on roadsides. We have boy childs who are staying in dark places, who are waiting for opportunities to loot, to steal, to rape, to do all sorts of evils because they feel they're not wanted. They feel they are neglected. So the only way maybe they can do things now is to come up and do things that are dubious. And if we don't do something now as the stakeholders, that includes the government, the civil society, even the media, if we don't do something serious to address this thing, definitely we're on time bomb.
Okay.
Yes.
That is actually one thing that many times has often come out. Maybe what are some of those ways in which the rights of these children have been neglected more so the boy child, because more attention has been given the girl child, and that is why we're always listening to girl child this, girl child that. But people are not often talking about the boy child. What are some of those rights that you feel for the boy child have been neglected and abandoned?
Yeah, let me first begin with the education system ourselves. Maybe the access to let's say opportunities when it comes to the government scholarship opportunities. Or even at times you find the cut-off points. At times there are bonuses given to girls to qualify to go to university. Then this boy is not given. Also then maybe even when it comes to scholarships, maybe from the organizations, from institutions, at times they say we're only looking at girls. We're only giving out scholarships to girls. What about these boys who are always left alone to struggle on their own? So that is also a big challenge to us when it comes to education aspect. The opportunities that are also neglected. When it comes to maybe let me say exposure, because most of the opportunities that come, they're given to girls, and you see many of the, I don't know whether we're donor driven or we're what, we find many of the emphasis were all put on women, and that has a lot of impact now on the boy child. Of course, we're not saying that empowered girl child is not bad. We agree that the girls have been vulnerable; they need support. But now the impact on them, because let me tell you, for an empowered girl to live with illiterate guy, it's very difficult.
This is actually how the analysis states it, that in the future, if at all we do not empower the boy child today, we are going to be having a future of good women but bad men. And I don't know how that will be able to also really impact on society. And I don't know what you think that maybe what we can do to also really address this concern before it is still out of matter, because we can still maybe control this matter. How should the society maybe respond to this concern, and who exactly do you look out to in terms of addressing this concern? You mentioned the media, you mentioned other stakeholders, but who exactly do you think can be able to promote this apart from the media and the organizations that work within the country? And what do you think needs to be done, and what exactly should they do to make sure that we have a society that is a bit balanced? Why do I say this? Look at the society today. Most of the wrong elements are men. Most of them, actually. I'm not saying women are not doing bad activities, but you realize that majority of the bad things are being done by women, by men. What do you think maybe we can do to address this concern?
Thank you very much. Like as I said, the issue of empowering girls, empowering boys, is primarily lies where all the stakeholders. Of course, the level of engagement is very key. Media, you're already doing a lot of work when it comes to promoting the rights of children, of women, by boys, by exposing all the bad things that are happening. What about the civil society? Already as a civil society, a lot of effort has been put down, maybe to see that there are those others who are into skilling, those others who are into empowerment, those who are different things, so that we see that we achieve this thing. Even as the government is trying to do the thing. Now, what about the cultural institutions, the cultural leaders, and the churches? This is now, we need their voices. These are people who command authority in the society. We talk about the church leaders, the priests, the religious leaders, also the elders. These are people who command authority in the community. And when they speak, they have their followers. People tend to listen to them. Now we are saying, let them also come on board. What actually now, at 21st century, the kind of quality of preaching, the kind of sermon you give must be integrated. Integrate issues of real issues. Tell your followers what's right. Issues of GBV that exist. When you're preaching to the people on Sundays, tell people open, this is very bad. Tell people we need equality, treat people equally. This is the thing that this is what called pragmatic things that talks that we need to pass to our people in the society, and everyone is involved. As I told you, media is doing that, civil society, the community, even the community itself. The mindset that the community has is still negative. Our community still, we have a lot of
looking at the girl child as a source of wealth.
As a source of wealth. Just come to a recently there was some statistics that were released among the districts that they are in West Nile, that they do the badly, even the country, when it comes to teenage pregnancy. Believe me, Terego district is leading now, the whole country. We are aware that Terego district also hosts refugees and that, but now that means nothing needs to be done in Terego. Terego now is leading when it comes to teenage pregnancy and forced marriages. What does this tell us? If that means, what is the community doing? What are the leaders in the community doing there?
Okay. Recently, I was in Terego. I must say several interventions have been done to address this matter, where we have seen police officers being empowered, first of all, about their rights, and the community members as well have been able to be also trained by one of the organizations. I cannot be able to mention the name on air, but we have seen them doing a great job and tremendous job also really to make sure the numbers drop down, but that seems not to be working out. I don't know what that means, because the girl child keeps on lamenting about also really their rights that are being violated, because yesterday I saw a story of some of the people whose also really rights were also really violated, because after getting pregnant, the men abandoned them. And what does this also mean, and what message do you have to that girl child who is still in school in relation to what we are discussing this morning?
Thank you very much, moderator. That is very, very good. When it comes the issue of teenage pregnancy, the issue of girls getting pregnant and the men not taking responsibility has become so hard. And for me, that has to be on record. I'm always unapologetic when it comes to dealing with the men who impregnate these young girls and run away. Recently, that's a scenario that happened, that a P7 girl was my uncle's daughter was impregnated by some old, even the guy was 2 wives. I was from town, I was going to village one weekend. I got people gathered in our home. I said, what is happening here? That the other girl of who P7 got impregnated by this man, and people are people are taking dowry.
And you know that thing really nags. It's not only happening within your society alone, but everywhere it is happening, where elders now look at the girl child as a source of really wealth, instead of also really denouncing certain of these activities. But we have seen them also really promoting the perpetrators, and we have seen this through them asking for the bride price and the bride wealth also really, which I must say is something wrong, because ambanduderi has become ambanduderi, where people just want to eat meat. And I think this is also really going back to how we address girls. Look at Izamva. What does it mean? Iza, which is meat. Yes. Then Mva, which is the girl. Really, that thing I think really puts us at a very big risk, because we are seeing also today that the girl child has rights also really being violated very much. And look at the girls also really who are going through education. Today, you rather a parent who has both child and also girl child, you rather the schools that these two go through is a bit different. You rather the girl is put under day section, where the boy can be given an opportunity. What do you say about that in just 30 minutes or 30 seconds, as we also head for a short commercial break soon? In just 30 seconds, what can you say about this? How our society put the girl child and the boy child also?
Yeah, thank you very much. Exactly. Within West Nile here, even within our African settings, we have lowered our girls to be a source of dowry. And that is it. And that means we end up giving our girls at early age to get married, to get even this cows, that can even end up ruling the future of these girls. So that is something that is very, very bad. That is something that even as now, Lokbarakari has come to condemn. And that's something that is in law, and anyone who is going to get that will face the law, and that will be done. Yeah.
Okay, that is it, and we are looking forward to these interventions working out. And Lukbarakari is actually one of those cultural institutions that we are looking out for in terms of addressing these rights of the girl child. And recently, they were in Terego and in Leju, and also talk about certain activities where these issues of also really the girl child are getting married also really came out. And that is one thing also we need to continue talking about, because at the end of the day, I want to realize a society that is going to be equal. And today we're going to talk about girl child's rights being violated. We neglect collect the boy child. But what does that mean? And how is that going to be impacting on the boy child in the coming years? Definitely, I must say, it's going to be very, very much alarming. Today, we realize that also already most of these criminal activities are being conducted by the boy child. Look at the theft and the broad day robberies are taking place on our roads. They are being also promoted by the boy child, and by who? We also really saying our children, who are going to be the husbands of our daughters and our sisters in the coming years. And what does that mean? We have to also really play our part now. So that's already, we have a society that is going to be equal. And that brings us to the end of the first half of the show. And this is still a KOKOKLIRIKO live show, and we are going to be heading for a short commercial break. And I'm still with Drichile Godfrey, and he is a child rights activist and also the ED of SEFTRA Uganda. And my name is Sarish Majid. Let's first have this short commercial breather as we bounce back shortly. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on Antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Bellingham, Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial breather. We are back with the KOKOKLIRIKO live show, the Wednesday edition of the show, and we are still discussing issues related to the violations of the rights of the African child. And remember, recently on the 16th of this month, the world celebrated the World International African Child Day, and this day is actually to celebrate the African child, also promote resilience among the children. But today we have realized that many of the times these children's rights are being violated, and without also really sometimes stakeholders doing very, very much. And I'm still with Duchile Godfrey. He is a child's rights activist, and now we want to understand how the children's rights have been violated. And today we also already into a period of the athletics in Arua City, I must say, because recently also I did see Arua District already doing the same. That means also already within this period, some of the rights of the children are going to be violated, more so the girl child. And really, how can we make sure that we also really use this day to promote children's rights? You're most welcome back from the short commercial break.
Thank you very much, moderator. Yeah, I think I wanted to begin with maybe give some small background about the day,
yes,
how this day came about.
Yes, go on.
Yes, we're talking about the International Day of African Child. This is a day that is always celebrated every 16th of June, and this year it happened to be on Sunday, and that day should happen to be any ED day, and it was a public holiday. So then we the other partners, people chose to celebrate different days. So the 16 days of activism came about. This was any uprising in South Africa. That's what we call Soweto uprising. Those of you who know history, in 1976, when the children of South Africa, the blacks, the African children protested against the violences and the abuse that were against them, and that includes also the use of the Afrikaner language in schools. So that means this also led to that protest. Many thousands of children were killed. And then AU, that by then Organization of African Union, in 1991, now marked this day to celebrate let us have International Day of African Child. We want to celebrate the resilience, the sacrifices made by those children to stand firm, to protect the African values, to stand firm, to say we are the Africans, we have our culture, we have our tradition, we have our values that must be respected. We are human beings who should not be treated as lesser human beings. That we are created, we have all attributes that even the wise that we are having. So that's how this day came up about. So why do we celebrate this day now? Of course,
that means also really a brief background about that also means there is no discrimination supposed to be taking place against the children.
Yes.
And that is also really something we have seen today taking place in the modern era.
Yes.
And that means we need to do very much. And how can we make sure that also really the children also do not have themselves being discriminated in schools, in public spaces, in other places, also in centers of, and maybe in places of worship centers. I also really want to make sure that also the discrimination of where that you are saying to sit here as the group is supposed to be sitting there. How do we make sure this does not go on in relation to also the background of this International Day?
Okay, of course that's true. We try as much as, and we ask other people as much as to try to avoid discrimination of children in all forms. Let's take a scenario. There are many places where we discriminate children. A child comes very early in the church, sits in the front, he has come for prayers, is a child, then maybe big person comes, you tell the person there, go away, go sit down. That's not a discrimination of children. Then what about the children with disabilities? We discriminate them. Maybe in your families, maybe you have 3 children, maybe one has the disability. You tend to ignore this one. You see, maybe this is not a human being. You see, that's why we do a lot of discrimination about the children. Now the theme of this year said what? The theme of this year is talking about education for children, for all the children, and the time is now. For all the children means inclusive education. That when you are sending the children to school, that one who is a bit disabled must go to school. That one who is maybe who has some diseases must go to school. At times the children maybe who have some certain diseases, maybe those who were born with HIV/AIDS, like that, we tend to discriminate them. That maybe they are not this, so that is something which is very bad. You understand? So this day we are raising awareness that children, about the rights of children. Children have right to education. That children have right to medication, to medical attention. Children have right to food. That most time you find the right now one of the most abused right here has been education. If you go to community societies, as we're talking now, there are those children who are in school, but we find the main children who are at homes doing nothing. There are those who are If you go this road of Maracha, you get children very early in the morning going to pluck this mirror. It's called cutting charge. You go to Arroyo here.
Not
you go
even
to
Mira alone. Look at the people selling petrol.
Yes.
On the roadside. These are
On
children.
the roadside. Just you come to the road city here. You can move around. People who are selling children petrol. These are children who are supposed to be in school. But it is us, the big people, who are using them. You bring them here, you put them on road. They expose them. First of all, selling that petrol is illegal. This is a legal thing. These children can be sought, can be what can be done. Use that. This is all abuse of children. Talk about the issue of teenage pregnancy, the rape. These small girls who have been raped and left like that. It is all of these abuses. We have found issues where the maids are beating children. You leave first we go to school, you leave your children. They don't know what happened to your children. You go home, you find a maid. Your child has been abused, or other sexually molested.
Okay.
These are different things that are real. The question is, where have you gone wrong? Issue of parenting. At times we have neglected our children. Okay. You go home, we don't have time for our children. You come home from work, you are stressed up. You are on social media. You are on WhatsApp. Children, you get children.
Right. One of the rights of children that is being neglected, and I really feel very, very much bad about it, is the right to education.
Yes.
And that means also really, if at all we are not educating our children today, the cast that they're going to be holding as parents in the coming years is going to be very, very much alarming, because I don't know how the next generation is going to be like for any child out there not to be educated, maybe not know how to read and write, and maybe understand English, because at the end of the day, we are seeing it happening right now. To those people who do not have children, maybe not have the education, are suffering very, very much. But I don't know how the image is like in the coming years, but that means we need to also really do very, very much as stakeholders. And recently I was in one of the engagements by URA, and this issue actually came out as to why people are into selling petrol, and realize that most of these are actual children. Look at the people riding Raksas. Most of them are children in Nero City. And then the vending, those who sell the eggs and caveras on the streets, these are children. But really, what can we do to make sure these children are actually supposed to be in school? Could it be the weakness of the law? Could it be that stakeholders do not know what they are doing? And this is actually one thing also where we have also seen the issues of criminality among the children being attributed to the negligence by some parents, because over the years we have seen that the parents who have children who are raising their children as single parents, most of the mothers are having this challenge. What should they do?
Thank you very much. I think the issue of the first issue of negligence of children begins from us, from home, the parents. As the parents, we have given up on our children. Those days, it's a responsibility of a child, of every parent, to make sure that they protect their children. Nowadays, even those days when we were young, even for you to come home before your parents, that is an offense. Nowadays we have children.
Sorry. Let's continue.
We have children who come to open the doors of the parents. You are there sleeping, children escaped. Children, their parents who complain that their children now, they have defeated them. You understand? We have failed as parents to do proper parenting. We have left our children to be on our own. Then also maybe also now when it comes to enforcement, we are on the side of the government, on the side of the authorities. We are doing less also as because of the authority. We say even like the communities as LC ones from there. If a child is at home, this child must be maybe given punishment or arrest like that, or maybe the police. But we see the children we ignore. Now we are living in a society where everyone is for himself.
But this is also coming back to some parents that also today children are not communal owned, other than also really how it used to be those days. Because if you are to administer a punishment to a child at this time, you will have to realize that also really the parents may be angry with you. What can you say about that?
Yeah, that is very, very true also, because it still comes back to the negative, the parenting aspect. Nowadays, in this current now, you can't even discipline a child. You can't, when you get those days, children used to be us. But nowadays, they don't tell you when you get a child in wrong, and you try to advise the child, maybe try to discipline the child a bit so that the child can recover. The parents of the child, even the relatives, they will come to you. They will come to you. That means children are no longer now seen as for the society. Meaning that one now, even when a child is got in problem, is to whom it may concern. So, and this is still advice, but this is something that we need to change. This is a very negative mind. This is something that we can change as a society. This is something as stakeholders we need to say no to this. As the people in the churches, the cultural leaders, we need to say no to this. And this is beginning from our homes and it goes to the communities. Slowly, of course, it's something hard, but we can be there.
Okay.
Because some of us, some of the people who have even got chances to be somebody to study is because to other people. But if you say that everything of yours is going to be done by you, then it becomes a problem. But that is something negative we need to avoid and we need to work on it.
Okay. Today we have also really had the challenges of also the children very, very much engaging in drug abuse, and I believe apart from the parents, there are still more other stakeholders that are not doing very, very much. I don't know what, in your own opinion, don't you think that the laws are also really very much weak in terms of solely addressing this concern? Because look at the remand center, we only have one in a rural city that is in Giligili for children. But really, why don't we also strengthen the laws among the children? Don't you think that the weakness of the law also really among the children is promoting criminality? First of all, what we call the child criminality, what is also really happening today? Look at the drug abuse. We have children who are very, very much into abusing drugs, and these are people who can also really become problems. And also really, this is because as elders, you cannot suspect them because a child may not also really come to your mind that this can be able to be a thief, but only to realize that also really your property has been grabbed and the child is already on the run. What can you say about the laws also really in terms of also really addressing this concern of also really criminality among the children?
Thank you very much. As you see, as Uganda as a country, as a nation, we have tried, the lawmakers as a country, we have tried to establish laws that could actually protect this country, the children, against all forms of harm. All laws have been put in place. The challenge as a country is we have beautiful laws that always enacted, but when it comes to implementation of these laws as a country, that's why we fail in. When you look at the laws that have been put, we know clearly that the child abuse like this, we see in your community children being abused, we see in your communities that you move around. Most of these guys who are taking opium, most of these guys who are forming gangs, we have seen them. But at times, less has been done. And even sometimes as leaders, we use these guys to do things that benefit us. Okay. We encourage them, as leaders, we encourage these guys ourselves. So the issue of criminality, issue of this, when it comes to law side, of course the law is there, but of course maybe also the law enforcement. But I think this is also a call to the government, also call all the stakeholders. Maybe this will need to revisit our laws. Maybe to tighten some of these laws a bit. Also maybe also put these people who are supposed to enforce these laws on spotlight. Why are they failing their duties? We are paying them, the taxpayers are paying them, we're paying the police, we're paying different people to enforce these things. Why and what is the problem? What is the challenge? This is the thing we need to address. If it is logistics, or it's the fuel, what is the issue? This is the thing that we need to understand so that together we come up with solutions to find out what is the problem, what is happening. Okay.
And then maybe as we get to the final end of the discussion, on this day of the African child, which was also already on Sunday and also already coincidentally also coincided with the Eid Day celebration, that means much attention was not also given to it. But really we have a lot to do when it comes to that day, and I really don't know what are some of those things that you feel needed to be done on this day, so that also already all the stakeholders get to understand the rights of the children. Today we are also really seeing that the children are engaging in criminality because sometimes their rights are being violated. For instance, the right to food, and where we have also seen some children also really on papers, we have seen them on the different platforms that children are also really doing very much in terms of also really providing food, because the parents and more so the fathers have neglected their duties then to taking alcohol, leaving the responsibility in the hands of their children, who have to go on collecting plastic bottles and also really looking for other means to survive in there. And that is why we also really realizing that today children are actually into petrol business because they need to also look forward to have their own monies. And I don't know what you think that needed to be done on this day of the International African Child, so that solely each and every stakeholder gets to understand what exactly the rights of the children are, as we get summarize the discussions with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, for that question. A lot has been done, and a lot is being done. Like as we have been moving into schools, taking outreach, raising awareness about this importance of education in schools, telling children how to keep in school and retain in school. We have been moving in schools. Even yesterday we were on Jevu Primary School in the rural city. The other day we were in Niva and the different schools. Then also, apart from that, there also been community dialogues that have been done with the communities, so that the communities are made aware about the rights of children and about the dangers of abuse of children's rights. That has been done in the communities, the dialogue that has been done, and also maybe engaging the cultural leaders that is ongoing. We also we have been in touch with the Dr. Barakari and see if as a cultural institution and the leaders that we can come together, even including the police, that we can do a lot of few things there, so that we see children's rights are being promoted. These are things that have been put in place, and some even within the settlements in other districts, People have been commemorating in these days, and so in Terego, in Katrin sub-county, some places and some other districts. So since it happened on the weekend, some districts have the possibility there is a bit and to celebrate this day so that you see much awareness is raised about this day. So a lot has been done and a lot should be done in the communities. Thank you.
That means there's a lot more that we need to do as parents, as stakeholders, and that is actually one thing also already we need to very, very much embark on. And other than that, leaving the responsibility in the hands of each and everybody who want to work, but now that we have to work towards also really promoting the rights of the children, and that means already at the end of the day, there's more that we need to do as also stakeholders, because if at all we do not do that, then definitely at the end of the day, children's rights are going to be violated, which may not be right. And that is why we're saying we as stakeholders must make sure that the children's rights are promoted and protected, first of all, because at the end of the day, these are going to be the future leaders. And we always say children are the future leaders of tomorrow. What if we leave them now and abandon them now in the hands of also these unscrupulous persons? Which kind of leaders are we going to be having in the coming years? And who are going to be the ones to lead? That is why we're saying we must make sure that children's rights are protected. And that means as a parent, as a guardian, we must make sure that we raise the right children, because if you raise the right children, the next generation is going to be conserved. And that is why we are saying this day must be honored. I don't know what you can say about raising the right children as we get to move on with the show, because there is also raising children, because there are some who call themselves as fathers just because they produce the children, but they're not undertaking the responsibility, and the entire responsibility of these children growing up has entirely been left themselves. And that means also the children are subjected to also really a lot of stress, a lot of difficult times while growing up. This is also really a violation of their rights. I don't know what you can say about that as we get to move on with the show. We are just left with about 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. What I can say is the children are ours. Let us embrace what we call positive parenting, because the responsibility of raising our children runs in our hands. Let us not leave our children in the hands of their mates. Let us protect our children. When we come back home, let us ask our children, let us engage our children in constructive ideas. Let us understand our children, what they go through in the schools, what they go through at the homes. Let us understand so that we're able to promote their rights. And those in a rural city who are going for athletics, our children who are going for athletics sports, that this is a long day sports. We have also realized this kind of period. Some of you come for these days of sports, you're excited, you get drunk, you get abused. Some of you are going to get into fighting, some of you are going to get into sexual intercourse, that maybe some are going to be raped. But as you come for these athletics, stick to the point, be focused, support your school, know what brought you there. We're all proud of you, represent your school very well, and take care of yourself. The security of your personal security lies on yourself first before others. Okay. So lastly, I also want to thank the National TV, the Mighty TV in the region, for always being with the communities, for standing with the communities and raising the voice and being the voice of voiceless for the communities. We are very proud of you, of what you are doing, and may God bless the work you're doing in this region. Amen.
And that is one thing also we need to focus. We need to make sure that the children are raised in a pious way. We need to make sure we raise pious children. And what do I mean by that? We need to make sure that our children also really get to understand the religious part of it all. And that means if at all they also really understand what the spiritual knowledge is saying, at the end of the day, they're not going to be engaging in bad activities, because look at what's going to be happening today. And I must say the activity of what we call Barifa, and how that activity has been associated with, for those who have studied their secondary level in this region, definitely you will be able to know what Barifa means and what it entails. And that's why we're saying today we must make sure that the people are protected. More so my girl child. We need to make sure we are not also into bad activities such as drinking and also abusing drugs, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are at the danger, and somebody out there is going to be taking advantage of your unsober mind and also to rape you. At the end of the day, you are going to be contracting diseases and also getting pregnant. And that's why we're saying to avoid all this, make sure that you stick to what is bringing you out, because for the boarding children, this is an opportunity for them, I believe, for the past also really weeks as they have been into school. Definitely others may feel this is now the right time for them to also really go visit their boyfriends or man friends, but we are saying this shouldn't be the case. We must make sure that we stick to what is bringing us out, and we must make sure that we move and keep the company of our friends, so that also really those people who may want to rape us may not get advantage. And we are saying to the schools, please let's make sure that we transport the children from where they are up to this facility and also back, because at the end of the day their rights may also be infringed on. And that brings us to the end of the discussions. I've been Farish Majid, also together with Drichile Godfrey, a child's rights activist and also the executive director of what we call SEFTRA, and he did also explain to us what are some of the rights of the children, how we need to protect them, and I hope you had a wonderful time with him. It's always a great pleasure having you on board. When we welcome you, also really keep the company and also come through, and we hope to also have you more and more in the coming days. And that brings us to the end of the first half. We are going to be also having more other discussions in the second hour. And remember, our final destination remains 9 o'clock. And after 9 o'clock, that's when we are going to be stepping out and leaving the studios for the newsroom of Eolaza with Fete Manu to slowly come through and let you know of what is happening in the world of news. For now, we are going to be heading for yet another short commercial break, which will usher us into the second hour of the show. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break, and we are into the second hour of the show now, and I've been joined by Oraku Benson Pastore. He is one of the sports pundits and the journalist at large with West Nile TV, and we are already into the period of what we call Barifa, and that means already today the different schools started yesterday, and today we are also going to be having a number of activities, and we need to make sure also really that also this day is actually one that is not going to be having our girl child also really being also really taken advantage of during this period here, because many of the times we have seen the girl child's also rights being violated during this period, because we hear on the different media platforms during that student of this school or that school has been raped during this period. But really we need to make sure that also really the atmosphere is actually leveled. I don't know how it is of yesterday because we were able to also really move to Barifa, and maybe first tell us how and maybe what exactly transpired during the Barifa celebrations in also the Barifa Stadium in Arua City here, because we did see so many schools starting up for this event, because usually this is how the students call it, the Christmas of the students. What do you really see, and how do you think that we are prepared as schools to also really celebrate this day?
Like you have said, my name is Oraku Benson Pastore, one of the soccer pundits for West Nile Television. Basically, we'll be discussing about the ongoing ball game between West Nile region, particularly in Arua City, and we'll also be in person to touch something a little about the ongoing 2024 European Championship in Germany. But much of what we are going to discuss at this particular moment will be what is transpiring at Barifa. It's actually called, given the highlights of what is transpiring at the moment, it's actually called the ball game 2. Ball game 1
was football.
Was football, which took place last time. We are now into ball game 2, where we have netball, we have got basketball, and at the same time we have got athletics, the famous sporting activity which is known for schools whenever it's in the second term. Like you have said, it started yesterday with the netball, whereby Arua City sports sector for secondary schools registered around 15 schools to participate in netball, and it started yesterday at Barifa. It's going on well. It will be a 3-day tournament, which means it started yesterday. Today we are having it, and it will climax tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually Thursday. It will climax tomorrow, and the finals.
Okay, you know, talking about the Barifa, somebody out there may not be understanding what the ball game 1 or the ball game 2 is all about. This is a new development that started this year, because last year we had nothing like the ball game 1 or ball game 2. But really, in first time usually we used to have a football and also really football entirely and netball. But this year netball was pushed to second term, and that means under the new changes, because last year we did have also the boys and the girls football. football, and that means it was also made to be the what we call the ball games 1. And this year now, at this time, we are now having the ball games 2, where athletics that used to be in second term has been now merged with netball. I don't know how many schools are playing netball, because we did in first time we did have also both boys and girls playing football. I don't know this year, are we having also boys also really playing netball?
No, currently netball is only for the girls.
Okay.
It's only for the girls.
But this is like a neglecting of the boy child, because in first time we did see the girls playing football. Why don't you also really make the boys play netball?
You know, there are some sporting activities which are famously known for girls, more especially netball. That's why you see in most of the schools, you don't see boys participating in netball. Maybe those schools that are in the central part of the country. And you actually said so many people may not understand what is ball game 1, what is ball game 2. And this policy has newly been implemented in the whole of Uganda as far as school sporting activities are concerned. It has been there in the other parts of Uganda, but in West Nile, it is the first of its kind. It has happened this year. Actually, everyone is waiting to see if this one will actually yield fruit. Like we said, we need to give highlights, or as they said, timetable.
You know, talking about Barifa, way back when I used to be in secondary, this is I think some 10 or plus years ago, when I was at this great college where I was a student in senior 1, senior 2. Definitely I saw this day being very, very much tense. How is the atmosphere like as of yesterday, and how is the morale boosting? Because definitely that is an activity that is this day is associated with. How many students did you see in there, and how is the pressure like? Is the atmosphere tense? Is it cool? How is the general atmosphere? Because I must say so many schools must be participating in this year's activity.
Yesterday the atmosphere was okay. If you talk general about Barifa, Barifa is known for...
And what memory do you have with the Barifa in particular, because you are a student in West Nile sub-region?
Barifa, just like you said, whenever someone talks about Barifa, the memory, the past moments or the past memories, you flash back how things used to be at Barifa. And Barifa is known of one sporting activity, that's athletics. Because of late we are not having so many grounds for ball games. You see most of the games in Arua City, these days they are taken to Barifa. That's why netball is going to take place entirely. It will be played at Barifa. Like we said, it started yesterday. Today it will climax tomorrow. And then the finals will take place on Saturday. Saturday, of course, will be the 22nd of this particular month, and the year still remains 2024. You actually asked me about how the atmosphere right now, as yesterday was at Barifa. The atmosphere is not all that tense because it's only netball, which is yet taking place. Just like I said, Barifa is always known of athletics, which of course will commence on Friday and will also climax on Saturday. About netball, you know, very few people praise netball since it's mostly for girls. It's mostly for girls. The population is not all that massive. You know, that was yet day 1. Day 2 is today. Day 3 is tomorrow. We never know on that day of final. And also the most interesting thing is the day of the final for netball will be colliding with the day when athletics will be climaxing.
I don't know what that means, but how many studios, how many stadiums are you using also really for these ball games too? Because in ball games 1, we did see a number of stadiums being gazetted to also be used, among others, which included St. George's College grounds, and we also did see others also really going up to Aliba. What does it maybe this mean, and how many stadiums are we using this time round in ball games too?
Yes, speaking about the grounds as pitches they are using for ball game 2. In fact, the other ball game I am talking about, basketball, it's also commencing today. In fact, it's just one day tournament which is commencing today. For it has been shifted to demonstration basketball courts, whereby only very few schools have registered for it. From the girls category, we have got Diofe Girls Senior Secondary School. We also have got Mvara Senior Secondary School. Meanwhile, for boys, we have got Mvara Senior Secondary School. We have got St. Joseph's College Ombati Senior Secondary School, and lastly, Pokia. Only 5 schools they are going to participate for basketball. What does it mean? Does it mean basketball is not
maybe
much impressed?
Out of these 5 schools, which school do you think will emerge as champions in this year's basketball competitions? Me, I would say it will be St. Joseph's College Ombati. And for the reasons that best remain to me, known to me, what do you think maybe will be, which school do you think will be emerging as champions in this year's basketball tournament?
You know,
out of the 5.
Right now I cannot rule any school out of the gong. Speaking on the side of the girls, we only have 2 schools that are competing for girls basketball. That's in Senior Secondary School and Idiofe Girls Senior Secondary School. But you look at most of these schools we have in the entire region of West Nile. Mvara is a school, one of the schools known of always performing brilliantly when it comes to
sporting activities.
And also that one doesn't matter so much. It also depends on the basketball courts you are having. Doesn't have a basketball court on Bati's having. You also talk about a deal for girls senior secondary school. Also leaving that one aside, have they been training? These players, have they been training is also another sector, another segment I am looking forward into. It will be a tense one since it has not been taking place before. It's like it's like a new game to all these schools. That means any school is having a chance of scooping the medal or scooping the gong.
Okay. Basketball remains one of those sporting activities that is least promoted in Western Sub-region. Why do you think that is the case, and what do you think needs to be done to also really make this challenge addressed?
Not only for the schools, not only for school ball games. You look at the entire region, West Nile at large.
Most emphasis has been put on football.
Yeah, it's true. Football all over the world. This is the famous sporting activity, and it's easy to get into the world of football. Not like, some of these sporting activities, for you to get into it, or else for you to start impressing it, it needs money. First of all, for basketball, it needs a basketball court. And to construct or else to build a basketball court is something which is expensive. Not like football. You can even go around, you see kids playing football, this thing which is always made out of cavera. And anywhere, football is rampant. And football actually was I should say, was the first sporting activity that was discovered. And in Africa, also football is well known. You talk about basketball. You ask any other person, if you're not me, how many basketball courts are we having in the whole of the region of West Nile? Very, very few. Why? Because we have it's expensive to construct a basketball courts, and also you might be having the basketball courts. Do you have the players? Is also another thing. Of course, you will have to look into what about the cost of maintaining the game itself. Is also another thing. Maybe that is the reason as to why we are seeing basketball. Only very few people impressing basketball in the whole region.
That means we need to also really love this game. There are so many opportunities that lie under basketball. There are scholarships for the students who are within Western Sub-region, across also really the borders of West Nile. There, you also really, who is tall, who has the height, because this is a game that has been very much associated with height. We are saying try engage in this game. You never know. The next education is going to be paid through your talent, and that's why we're saying across the borders in Central Uganda, we have seen this game also really picking up, unlike in Western Sub-region, where a few schools are yet performing and also participating in these games. But we are saying we need to give it attention. It's actually one of those games that could be able to also give us opportunities of studying at the universities for free, or maybe at different schools for free, only if at all we love the game. And that means as stakeholders, we need to promote these games in Western Sub-region. And athletic has gone down of late. We are not also really having many West Nile players also really participating at the national scene internationally. What does it mean, and what does it make of what is happening today? Because today we don't have very many athletes representing at the international scene to represent Uganda. What does that mean? We only have, if I can be able to mention them, we have names like Shidaleni and a few who are also really raising the flag of West Nile so high. But really, we are not having very many. What does that mean?
It's true. You look at West Nile. West Nile has really been affected when it comes to the other sporting activities. This time, talking about athletics, you have only given very few names that are currently representing the flag.
I've actually given one.
Yeah, only very few. What does it mean? That means the ball has been rolled back to us to see that we start impressing. That's athletics in the region. Athletics needs that individual effort, that individual talent. It's not like these other sporting activities like football, like basketball we have just been discussing, like netball, whereby it needs collective effort, it needs collective mind for you to sometimes perform very well. In fact, athletics, it has to be you yourself to treasure it. That's where you will actually start developing it. start performing very well in it. In the other parts of Uganda, there are so many. You go to the other part, eastern part of the country. You go to the central part of the country. There are so many athletes that are representing the flag of the country.
Talking about these neglected sporting activities, recently we did see rugby, which is actually returning for phase 2. Many schools not actually turn up for the rugby tournament that was at St. John's College Ombati. Yeah, and yet these are games that have so many opportunities. I know of colleagues who studied up to university level and even got chances of moving out of this country just because of these games that we are neglecting. And more emphasis, to me, has been put on football, where there's some bit of competition, unlike these other activities where the competition is not yet stiff. Yeah, what message would you have for the parents and the students in Western Sub-Region in relation to these games?
You know, truly, development is all about coping mechanism. At first, we don't used to impress these other sporting activities like rugby, basketball. Since you know, most of these things they have been introduced by the whites. I mean, Europeans from diaspora. Now it has made people in Africa to now start impressing it. Speaking about the schools, first of all, you look at the facilities. Do they have the facilities? Do they have the balls?
But they receive the balls, and they receive the training. This is in relation to rugby.
Okay.
But few turned up.
Do they have the coaches to train them?
Yes.
Do they love the game? Is another thing, of course, we are looking forward into. So these are the things which actually make these students to run away from it. First of all, they love kind of it. Do they treasure it? Do they have the facilities?
And talking about the love for these games, what do you think needs to be done to make sure that these schools get to love these games? Because I do understand that we have OBs of these schools who are doing great job in terms of this game here, because recently we are with you at KOKOKLIRIKO, where it came out. We have players from Western Sub-Region who are outside playing these games, but the game remains backward in this region. What do you think needs to be done, and how should they also come out and also support these games?
First of all, the stakeholders, of course, will have to engage in training specific kind of people. I mean the coaches, to also nurture these kids, to nurture these children, how the game is played. You look at the televisions. Most of the times, people watch television, sports sector of it. 90% of the population they treasure football. In most cases, they switch to watching football. Sometimes you see basketball is going on, rugby is going on, athletics is going on, but they always switch away from such kind of channels. Well, first of all, they will have to start training stakeholders. They have to train coaches in numbers, such that these coaches will nurture these kids, or will nurture these students, such that it can be impressed by them. And at the same time, they should start falling in love in watching these games whenever they are actually broadcasted on televisions. Not only impressing football alone. These 2 points, of course, it can make the game to develop.
Anyway, that is it. We are not here for waste of time. Waste of time will be coming through. That is from 2 to 3 p.m. with Owen Ezaga together with Linda Suzy. But today, in a special way, we also really want to give you that component of sports on the discussions for the morning update. This is really to keep the working class, those who are also to move also really from where they are to from their homes to their workplaces. It's really good to keep them informed of what is happening in the world of sports, because we cannot be able to leave sports out. Sports is actually one of those sectors that is very, very much critical. And now, in the last 7 minutes, to summarize the discussions with what's happening internationally, the Euros are going on, and I do understand you're supporting England.
Not really.
Okay.
But before we get to Europe, I want us to wind up with what is happening in ball game 2 in Arua City.
Today I'm actually going to be following this.
Actually, I'm going to give the schedules, the timetable for these games. Like we said earlier on, netball started yesterday. And today it's there. It's climaxing tomorrow, but the finals will be on Saturday. Meanwhile, for basketball, it's just a one-day tournament. It is taking place today at the COPTC demonstration basketball courts. Meanwhile, for athletics, which is a famous one in second term, it's actually commencing on Friday and will climax on Saturday. You know, this new policy, it has come up with numerous advantages and also with numerous disadvantages. First of all, one advantage I am looking forward into is 3 ball games
they have been introduced in a space of less than 1 week.
What does that mean? Because elsewhere, these are things that we already introduced.
Yeah.
Because talking about the ball games 1 and ball games 2, West Nile is just trying to embrace it.
True.
But elsewhere, it had already started.
Yeah, truly.
And this is one thing also that I believe has been lacking behind. But really, how is the reception? Do the students love what is happening? Are the schools happy of this? Because many of times when it comes to sporting activities, many schools have been complaining about issues of resources.
True.
Have they embraced it?
In the other part,
did you see many schools participating?
In the other parts of the country, it has been there. It has been there before, and they have known the tactics of always managing it. Ball games too, but West Nile, it's been the first of its kind. That means statistically, these games, 3 sporting activities, they are just taking place in a space of less than 1 week. Something of around 5 days. This one affects the students this way. The talented students this way. Like a person might be having a talent in basketball, in netball, and at the same time in athletics. Like 2 days athletics is taking place. 2 days this one netball is taking 2 days. 1 day basketball is there. 3 days netball is there. That one will only make the talented person to specify in one sporting activity. Of course, in a space of less than 1 week, you cannot be participating in all these sporting activities. Of course, that one will make your talent in the other sporting activity to go down. Okay. I think I am okay. And also, the advantage part of it is, 70% of what these students, they do in schools is what is happening in the world of academics. Just in a space of less than 1 week, you will concentrate, ball games are done, you go back to class. That is the advantage part of it. And then in summary,
usually they say work without play makes Jack a dull boy, and that means sport is actually one of those activities that is part of the curriculum. And the children have to learn also really sports, and that means we need to also really guarantee that time for children to engage in sports, and that is why Ministry of Education actually designated these days for the children to also really be actively engaged in that sporting activities. But really, I don't know how the schools are ready for these activities, because many parents have actually had negative thoughts about sports. They think sporting activities are wasting their children's time of concentrating on books.
It depends.
That negative mindset, what can you say about it?
It depends. If you are a parent, or if there are some parents who really have that love for sports, they cannot come up with such kind of ideology, such kind of mentality, unless you are a parent who doesn't love sports. And some of these things are fixed abruptly. And right now, netball is taking place. Majority of the students, they are attending classes. Like for basketball, according to the report I got from the chairman, he actually said only each school should send 30 students to actually steer these participants. It affects them, and it's the right time, I think, for us to jet to Europe and we tackle something about the ongoing European Championship.
We are going to be doing that in the last 15 minutes of the show, but now we need to make sure also that each and every parent out there has something that they need to learn from this ongoing the sporting ball games 2 activities, which have also already been introduced this year. It is a new development. This is something that is totally different, and that's why I asked you for a comparison from what happened last year to this year's activities. And I asked how important is this activity, because I believe the activity there are also really importances attached to these activities, or maybe this also the communities. I believe there's more that is also going to be coming up, because gone are the days when we used to go for, I do not want to say looting, but it used to happen. But really, we are saying the activities are also coming to the advantages are coming to the communities when it comes to issues of business. What are some of those business opportunities that you saw yesterday in these activities?
Yesterday, the population was a little bit scarce compared to the previous seasons. As previous years, in sports we normally use the term seasons, not years. Previous seasons, comparing the population turn up of yesterday, maybe today, comparing it with how it has been happening in the previous seasons, the population was really very scarce. Businesses, we are not all that booming, because whenever the population is scarce, you cannot expect the business to boom. I think most of the community members, they are aware that these ball games, they have been split in different days. I think at the end, people are waiting to see if this policy will actually yield fruit in the whole region of West Nile, because like we have just been saying. But
what about the unity among the schools? Because we have seen over the years this activity is not ending well. We have seen clashes between the different schools. For instance, School A are clashing with the students of School B. Are we likely to see the same happening this year?
Right now, since it is only netball which is taking place, which is only treasured much by the ladies, the population is yet scarce. And why am I saying so? We may not see such kind of wrangles in netball because it is mostly loved by the ladies. It is a ladies' game, though in the other parts of the country, in the other parts of the world, we also see some guys or some men playing in netball. You know, it will reach at the time of, when it reaches to the time of athletics, that's when you will see boys pouring in numbers. In most cases, when you see, we witness chaos, mostly it is actually the guys or the boys generating the chaos. Right now, mostly ladies. Right now, if you go to Barifa, 90% of the population you will see there, they are just women who have come to support their students and also the school ladies. Boys, they are very scarce at the moment. Maybe it will reach at the time of Barifa where chaos may originate, but at the moment, the atmosphere is calm.
All right, that is it in terms of also really men embracing netball. I would also really wish to see men throwing the yes ball, which is typically taken to be for ladies, because we didn't see the ladies also really kicking ball. That means also we need to also really make sure that we go start throwing the netball, and that is it with the discussions in relation to morning updates. We are going to be bouncing back with what is happening internationally, and that is just what we gave you in relation to what is happening at Barifa, which is taken to be a Christmas among the students. But for now, let's have the short commercial breather. My name is Menz Farish Majid, and I'm together with Oraku Benson Pastore, a sports pundit here on West Nile TV, as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Mbappe! Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBA Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. Today is a special day, and we are also really giving very much attention to sports today. This is because we are into the period of sports, and this means many of the times we have seen the activities related to Barifa are not ending very well because many students actually take this day to be Christmas of the students, and now that is what we had in the first hours, and now we are going to be summarizing the hours with what is happening internationally, and the European Championships are already going on. I don't know how the games have already reached, and this is also really many times where we have had men also really moving out and leaving their women alone because the Euros are there, because many women were actually excited that the Premier League is ending. They are going to be having more time with their husbands, but now that is not the case because Euros also really returned, and where most of the games at night, and this is something also really where we have seen women complaining of. I don't know where the games have reached and maybe how the games are transpiring in relation to what is happening in the Euros.
The game of football will continue forever and ever. The Premier League, in fact, most of the seasons got done. People thought that it is the end of the journey. And we
this
already...
is for the other gender who is always fighting for the remote.
Yeah, which gender is that?
The other gender fighting for the remote.
Okay, let's keep it there. Actually, we are still in the group stages of the ongoing European Championship in Germany, which is commonly known in Africa to be Euro. It started very well. Actually, the host country, that's Germany, opened the campaign with the total thrashing of Scotland, which was very good for the fans of that's Germany. And so far, the most shocking result has been produced by Slovakia. That's against Belgium, edging them by a 1-0, which was actually on Monday. Since Belgium been beaten by Morocco, up to now, they have not lost any game till they were actually edged by Slovakia. The games are still in the group stages. They are going on so well. The likes of Portugal, they are performing very well. France matches, they struggled against Austria. They still continue to prove people that they can still do it. England had that narrow win over the country of Serbia. Games are continuing, but still the group stages, and also Germany, the host country, will be returning for action today.
This is actually a Euro where I must say the games have been tight compared to the previous editions, and this season, as earlier on you said, has been tightened. I don't know what the teams did, because this is actually one of those Euros I must say is very much interesting. Am I right or wrong? Because this Euro is a Euro where anybody and any team can be able to sort of surprise you in there. I don't know what team you think at the end of the day will be crowned champions.
Yeah, you look at the ongoing Euro, comparing it with the past Euros, previous ones. This Euros team seems to be much organized than the previous ones.
And the selection actually.
The selections are also. This one brings me to teams that are having weight when it comes to the team that might end up grabbing the crown as the champions, going with the gong. Let me start with the France. France of late is a very well constructed side, right from the goalkeeping department up to the attacking force. Matches, they had that slim win over Austria. No any other team will want to go out in the group stages. France is actually one of the favorites because of the weight of the squad and also the quality of the players they are possessing at the moment. You also talk about Spain. Unlike those days, around 2013, 14, 15, 16 there, when most of their star players got retired, got aged, but this is a side which is well constructed at the moment. They're having so many talented players from teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Celta Vigo, the likes of Rodri, almost of this world. They are performing very well. We witnessed this one in the just concluded Euros when they were crowned as the champions. And Italy, being the defending champions, it always comes with a lot of pressure. They will want to defend the gong, and their opening game was actually against Albania, which they won by 2-1. England is always deceiving people, but the question is, will this year be their moment? Is actually what everyone is waiting to see. And we saw a statement coming up from the court. If he will not, if he doesn't win the Euro, that will be the time he will be stepping down as the coach of Gareth Southgate. We continue with the discussion.
And do you think England is worth winning this year's tournament? Because we have looked at the selection, most people have been able to be dropped. And in most cases, when people, some names used to be mentioned in the squad, people actually raised doubt. But this time round, people have not raised doubt in the squad, and they are saying this is actually the right squad. Are we saying that England may, at the end of the day, have chances of being crowned champions?
You know, in the past 10 years, England, in every tournament, people have been looking at them as favorites. But they always disappoint at the end. In the final of Euro 2020, people expected them to have beaten Italy, but Italy surprised them. You look at the squad of England at the moment, right from the goalkeeping department, you look at the midfield and also attacking force. They look to be powerful, with the exception of one player, two players that were dropped. Maybe Ben White, the player for Arsenal, has been a tremendous player for Arsenal, but he has been dropped. Maybe England might be having so many players in that position, and also Maddison being dropped, and that might not be the reason enough.
There's one name that you're not mentioning, Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire, he was actually submitted. He withdrew because by then he had an injury. That's why he withdrew. But me,
and Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish is also another player that has been a coach. You can't drop a player of Jack Grealish's caliber, Maddison's caliber. But anyway, it depends on the number of players you are having in every position.
Disposal, yes, and that is it in relation to that. But you have not mentioned one thing. Given the fact that we have also been seeing these games at the group stages now, they are going to be advancing to the next stages. Which team do you think, in your own opinion, will be crowned champions this year?
It is yet early to say that this team will win the trophy, because if I may flash back in the Euro of 2016, it was actually won by Portugal, beating France in the final. Actually, in their group stages, they all drew their games. But from the knockout stages up to final, they performed very well. Basing on the weight of the teams, quality of the players, Germany is still constructing matches. They are the host nation. England is having a chance, but they always con people, sorry to use that term. Italy are the defending champions, but France seems to be having higher chance.
But for me, I'm going with England, and I think this time around they have the chance, and we are waiting to see how the event will be able to end. Now, in the last 3 minutes, let's look at what is happening in the world of English Premier League. The fixtures and the draws have been released, and the battle have also been identified, and this is the battle between Arsenal and Manchester City. Dates have already been identified, and I don't know what you think about the return of the English Premier League, given that the fact that also really the fixtures have already been released, and now people know when the games exactly will be starting.
Yeah, exactly, the fixtures for the Golden League. Me, I love calling it the Golden League because it is the most loved league in the whole world. Looking at the fixtures at the starting point, Arsenal opened the campaign with the Wolves, and this is a team that has been performing extremely very well in the past 2 seasons, and this upcoming season, will it be their moment again, is actually what everyone is looking forward into. And Manchester City opened the campaign with a resilient Chelsea. The open game will be between Chelsea and Manchester City, their first game, which is also a tough one. Meanwhile, for Manchester United, opened the campaign with a game up against Fulham, will also not be an easy thing. But my focus is the newly promoted sides. Last season, we saw the likes of Sheffield United, Burnley. In fact, all the newly promoted sides, all being relegated. This time, will they survive? Leicester City, the likes of Ipswich Town, and also maybe fortunately or unfortunately for Ipswich Town, they will be open the campaign with Anfield-based club, that's Liverpool. These games are expected to actually commence on